Okay. So today's presentation is going to be on a holistic approach to children's nutrition. Go ahead, next slide. So just the facts, we are a nutrition clinic in University Place, Neogenesis Nutrition, meaning new beginnings. Some of the services we offered are listed on the screen. So nutritional counseling and coaching, functional lab testing, hypnotherapy, a ton of other services in there. Here's what we're going to get into this. And go ahead and click next slide. So these are our team members. We have Dr. Champion, who's the practice owner, Britta, myself, and Shalita. And so a holistic approach. What is a holistic approach? So holistic nutrition involves more than just the food on our plates. It identifies that children's healthy eating habits are influenced by many interconnected factors, and not just children, but adults as well. So emotional well-being, how they feel, their hormone levels, and their gut health, or how their digestive system is working. So first, we're going to get into how emotional well-being influences eating habits. So how stress and anxiety can lead to eating comfort foods, like a whole pint of ice cream, or we all know like the guilty pleasure snacks, common snacks. How boredom impacts kids eating. So here I have a picture of my daughter in our fridge. I'm sure, right? Many parents can relate to that. Just school's out for summer and they're not actually hungry. They just want to eat. Next slide. Emotional eating and social influences. So how peer pressure can affect their food choices, eating with their friends, eating with their grandparents, anywhere outside of the home, really. And also how our eating and how our environment shapes their habits. Next slide. Routine disruption, so school sports, family moving, anything that impacts their daily schedule. And then also parental influence. So the influence we have both in how we prepare the food and present the food, but also our own like philosophy around eating food as well, how that shapes theirs. Next slide. So how gut health influences. So Snapple fact says, did you know that your gut has over 100 million neurons and is often considered the second brain? There's a bidirectional relationship between the gut and the brain, and that just means that it goes both ways. So the gut impacts the brain influences the gut. So whenever we hear someone say like gut-wrenching experience, or I'm so nervous I could puke, or things like that, it just kind of shows that relationship of how one impacts the other. Yep. And then probiotics and prebiotics. I think now more than ever, probably, those are really trendy things that we hear. There's probiotics and everything, prebiotics and everything, and it's a very trendy topic. Not very many people know what probiotics or prebiotics even are. So here is a definition of what each of those are. Probiotics are going to be the little bugs, the bacteria that live in our gut. And then prebiotics, simply put, is the food in which those bacteria eat. So probiotic foods and prebiotic foods are listed there. Probiotic foods are going to be primarily fermented foods, so yogurt, kefir, slow-aged cheese, sauerkraut, stuff like that. And then prebiotic foods are going to be like fibrous, mostly plant foods. So sweet potatoes, squash, pretty much all of your plant veggies. How hormones influence eating habits. So here I included a short definition of 4 of the many, many types of hormones. These are just the 4 types that impact hunger the most. So ghrelin, known as the hunger hormone, plays a role in stimulating the digestive system. It's what tells us that we're hungry. And then opposite of that, leptin, the full hormone, helps us maintain weight long term by telling us we're full. Insulin is what regulates our blood sugar, and then cortisol, known as the stress hormone, also plays a role. So here I created a graphic kind of showing how each of these things impacts the other, just to show that it's a very, very complex topic, and it's still something that's being highly studied. And again, these are only the 4 main hormones, so there's a lot of other things that go into it. But to make this super simple, basically, there's some key principles of just balancing hormones in general that we know from years and years of research to hold true. Go ahead and click next slide. And that is that stress management and blood sugar balance is going to be the key players of managing our hormones or balancing our hormones. So stress causes a rise in cortisol. And then if we remember from that graphic, cortisol impacts all of the other hormones as well. So cortisol spikes in cortisol take us from a rest and digest mode in which we efficiently digest our food and we can use those for energy into a fight or flight mode. So during that, we are not able to adequately break down our food. We are not able to use that. Blood sugar levels impact and are impacted by our hormones. So the feelings of hangry or feeling a sugar rush is because of the hormone effect of the raise in blood sugar. And then here, so the green lines demonstrate an ideal range, and it just shows that we want our blood sugar to maintain like a pretty stable up and down instead of the big spikes and drops. And that's because when we do experience the spikes and drops, that is where our hormones are impacted, and that's when we start to feel panicky, unfocused, those types of things. And so in children especially, when they are really high and really low, that's when we see like big behaviors or acting out at school or not being able to sit still or unfocused. So keeping them in kind of like that green range, which there's no numbers there, but just showing like a stable range is where we want them to be. So how do we do this? So typically, the standard American diet is comprised of cereals and really high carbohydrate foods for breakfast items. So waffles, pancakes, cereal. I know that's what I grew up eating. And what happens is when we eat these food by themselves, it causes a spike in blood sugar, and then we send them off to school in a rush, and they're very elevated, and their blood sugar is typically in the higher range. And so that makes it very difficult to focus. It's actually a pretty simple concept, but not by cutting out these foods, but by pairing them with fat and protein, we can dramatically reduce that spike and keep them kind of stabilized so that when they do go to school, they're in a place where they can focus and they can learn. So this can look like pairing the pancakes that they ask for with eggs and bacon, adding protein powder to the milk and cereal, or giving sausage rounds with a cinnamon roll. So you can see we just took the high carbohydrate part of the meal and we just put some fat and protein in it. Creating a positive food environment. So creating a stress less, because nothing is completely void of stress, approach to eating that takes blood sugar balance into account may sound like this. So a little boy or girl asks, "Mom, I want cereal for breakfast," or "I want pancakes for breakfast." And instead of saying no and causing conflict in the morning, we say, "Sure, you can have that with breakfast. Would you like some scrambled eggs and bacon or some Greek yogurt and berries?" So what that does is, then the child says, "Yogurt, please," ideally, right? Great choice. I think I'll have that as well. So that empowers the child to choose between one of the two options so that everyone's winning. You're not taking away the thing that they said they wanted, causing conflict, and we're also allowing them to have fat and protein to create a balanced meal. So creating a positive food environment, so that interaction demonstrated positive language, collaboration, and balance. So again, the child feels seen, heard, what they want is important, and they're getting what they want. However, you are also winning because they're having a balanced breakfast and there's overall collaboration. So more tips of creating a positive food environment. Get them in the kitchen as at an age appropriate level safely. Involve them. Those are my kids cooking. Involve them in the meal planning. So, and it can be as simple as, what 3 vegetables do you guys want to eat this week? And that, again, with the collaboration says we are going to eat 3 different vegetables throughout this week. I am allowing you to pick which 3 those are. or these are a list of options for breakfast, and I am allowing you to pick from those options. So that we're collaborating, we're allowing them to have autonomy and control, and it's not just our decision. They feel included, they feel empowered. Planning meals according to schedules. This was a big one, especially during the school season. When we talk about school sports, back to school night, teacher conferences, and all of the things. Planning realistic meals around our actual schedule. Because a meal plan is great, it's a good concept until we plan a 45-minute meal on a back to school night and they're not able to eat dinner before school, and then we drive to McDonald's because everyone's stressed. So really taking a look at your schedule and saying, what can I realistically prepare? And maybe that is boxed mac and cheese and organic chicken nuggets and broccoli steamed in the microwave that night. But that is realistic, and that's probably better than driving to McDonald's. Avoid electronic distractions and use time to connect. So yeah, I grew up in the 90s. We ate in front of the television every day. And we know now, I'm sure we knew back then as well, that not only can that lead to overeating, but that also makes it very difficult to identify hunger cues and food cues from those two hormones that are playing in the background. When we eat in front of the television, that also causes hormonal reactions based on dopamine and things like that, that kind of gets in the way of being able to identify when you're full and when you're hungry. So eliminating those distractions and just taking that time to actually connect in a time where we are separated much of the day between school and work is really important. And then just driving that point again, but as parents, we provide the what, and then we allow them to choose how much. So we allow them to have a say in how much they're going to eat, not pushing the finish your plate mentality, which we know is not great. So later on in life, yeah, that can cause a lot of issues. So we provide what is being served based on their collaboration, and then they choose how much they're going to eat. Yeah, yeah. I think most of us grew up also in a finish your plate household. Where it's like, yes, food costs money, and there's starving kids somewhere. Like, yeah. A couple more things. So reintroduction of less favorite items. Off the top of my head, I want to say the number is 6, but I think researchers said like 6 times of reintroducing the same food has been shown to be effective. Preparing that same food in a different way. So I know growing up, my parents boiled every single vegetable, and that is disgusting to me as a person. And so I did not eat vegetables as an adolescent. Reintroducing that food as roasted or fried or some other form. Even cutting it, like I know cutting cucumber in a different shape for whatever silly reason makes a massive difference. If you put, cucumber cut in spheres in your kid's lunch and they don't eat it, and then you give it to them a week later and you cookie cutter it with little hearts, maybe they'll eat it. So just kind of changing the way when you reintroduce it of how it looks or how it feels. Not up here as well, but then also asking for feedback. So if they didn't like something, trying to ask why. So what did you not like about it? If they didn't like it was squishy, well, we can change that. If they didn't like that it had skin on it, we can change that. So just kind of getting actual feedback from them, again, encouraging collaboration, and then allowing you to kind of change how you prepare that food item can make a huge difference. Healthier versions of favorites. So, chips, cookies, those things are staples in many people's diet, kid and adults. And it's kind of unrealistic to just imagine a world where we just don't eat those things. But finding options that are a little bit better. So if you're trying to follow a dye-free diet or a gluten-free diet, and your child loves a certain food item that contains gluten or dye, we've never lived in a better time where there are options upon options of things. So instead of Cheetos, maybe you're getting puffs that have nutritional yeast instead of cheese if they're dairy-free, or you're choosing a gluten-free option instead of, gummy worms. That is, yeah, those are my girls. instead of eating stuff with dye, you can find pretty much anything dye-free at Trader Joe's, a dye-free version of everything. Not using, this is a big one too, not using foods as a reward or a bribe. I know that's a really big one that I experienced as a child, and it's very easy to say, you know, we're gonna get ice cream in response to this. But again, that kind of places certain foods on a pedestal and makes them a novelty item. It can lead to some behaviors in the future with emotional eating and other things. So just kind of giving all foods neutrality. So not putting anything on a pedestal or allowing them to choose what is special to them. Focusing on the physical benefits or how foods make them feel, as opposed to certain things being good or certain things being bad. So either choosing a non-food item or saying, I know a big one is, oh, well, if you finish everything on your plate, then you can have ice cream. If that is where you're at now starting, obviously if you remove the ice cream, it's probably going to be a big thing. So maybe instead of, okay, we're trying to get away from finishing the entire plate, if you take one no thank you bite of everything on your plate, we can go to the park tomorrow. Or we can, if ice cream is going to be a big thing, then you still have ice cream. But park, stickers, coloring book, any sort of non-food item, or, yeah.
I know in our house, we took the word treat out of it, and it's a privilege. And then fish vegetables and some of your protein start ending with protein. If you finish your vegetables and half of your protein, then talk about it's like actually treat. It's a privilege. It's like driving is a privilege. Maybe it's
Yeah, like just not making it such a novelty item, or asking them, like, what is something that you would like if you take a bite of your green beans, or if you right, yeah, or reminding them again, because if they did collaborate in the food planning process, and they're like, I hate green beans. They're like, hey, well, remember when we sat down to meal plan, you chose this as an option for vegetable. So is there something that would get you to at least take one bite? Or, yeah, green beans are good. Yeah, that one's a really hard one if you're already in that thing to just completely remove. So I think just taking the novelty out of it. And that might even mean, honestly, eating more ice cream and having it not be times of reward, or having a cookie not in response to finishing their dinner. Maybe that's like just removed as a reward, and it's more of, they ask, oh, can I have ice cream? And you say, well, can we take a bite of the cookies? And then just reminding them as well that dinner time is dinner time, and after dinner time, like, that is over. And so, because I know with my kids, a big one is, I'm not hungry, or I don't want it. And then they're like, oh, the food's in the trash, I want chicken nuggets. So just reminding them, you know, this is dinner time, this is the dinner that we chose, this is the dinner that we planned, and this is what we're eating. And then if you decide that you want something after dinner, then we're gonna have to discuss that after we eat. And then engaging in after dinner walks or plays. So that's a really big one for people in the diabetic community, but also just, there's so much value in literally doing anything after dinner physically. So after we eat dinner, it's really easy to just go straight to bed. But we know that even 20 minutes of walking, and not walking quickly, not running, not working out, but just physical activity, can dramatically change blood sugar regulation. So that could just be a walk around the block, a walk to the mailbox, or hey, if you take one no thank you bite of your green beans, we can play outside for 15 minutes. So bottom line, food is fuel. But it is also so much more. So connection, tradition, culture, expression, creativity, and fun. And then we just want to take the pressure off. So as little stress, as little pressure we apply, the more likely it is that our kids are going to want to engage with it. The second that we start applying pressure and stress to the situation, like any even adult, you just kind of want to separate yourself. So it's very easy to try to healthy eating on kids. Almost we're going to see rebellion and revolt. So just coming to a place of collaboration, and maybe that means that you guys meet in the middle and you're not exactly getting what you want, but there are small steps of progress. That's winning. And then our kids are listening, but they're also looking. So they're always watching us, modeling the behavior that we want them to model. Eventually, it makes an impact. So obviously, if you work out once in the garage and they see you, they're like, what is mom doing? That's not going to change the way that they think. But if they're watching their mom routinely work out, or if they're watching their mom routinely eat a certain type of food, eventually they're going to become curious, they're going to become engaged, and they identify you as a person who does this. And they're looking up to us. So just being an example of what healthy eating looks like, but also what a healthy relationship with food looks like is really important because they're always watching. And then any questions? Yeah.
What would you recommend in your time? How would somebody do the activity after dinner?
I mean, fort building or playing like hide and seek in the house, dance parties. So my kids are huge Taylor Swift fans. I know that's like a very polarizing. You have fans?
Yes.
But yeah, just taking 10 minutes to have a dance party. There's a ton of random dance party music videos for kids on YouTube and stuff. But just making it fun and making eating fun. I know, especially as moms, like we just want things to be great, and it's very easy to get down if things aren't going the way that we want them to go. But just reminding ourselves that just because something went this way today doesn't mean it's going to go that way the next day, and just trying to make things fun and collaborative. Yes.
So children are very upset about not say they went to a birthday party or something. How do you have that conversation about the idea?
I think sometimes there is a lot of value in allowing yourself to let go of the control and allowing them to eat a piece of cake and a cookie and ice cream and feel sick. I mean, sometimes it takes that for your kid to be like, oh, I really don't feel good when I eat this way. Or reminding them, hey, remember last time we went to a birthday party and you ate a cake and cookies and juice, you did not feel well. Do you want to pick one of those items? Or if your child does not eat gluten or does not eat dye or things, having something offered at home, like a separate option that you know that they like. For her.
Or vegan, so she can marry.
Right. No, that's a hard one. Veganism, even dye-free stuff, it's like at the schools especially, everything has dye in it. And there is some level, and it's completely normal, and it's frustrating as a parent for them to be, saying, oh, well, how come I can't eat like a normal kid? Or why can my friends eat this, but I don't eat this? And especially if she knows how she's had stuff in the past and it didn't make her feel good, reminding her of, well, remember that food doesn't make you feel good. You don't like how you feel.
Obviously.
Right. Finding really good alternatives, vegan options. I know we've gone to a lot of birthday parties, and I'm like, man, unfortunately, we cannot eat any of those desserts. But do you want something else? Do you want to make ice cream at home, or do you want to make cupcakes or cookies or something at home and having an alternative? And it's hard, especially at a young age, but I think over time, it becomes normal, it gets easier, because it becomes routine. And especially when they can look at things and pick things out of like, I know I can't eat that, so now my expectation is we're gonna have to find an alternative. And it's not just you being the bad guy forever. Yeah.
Our daughters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, yeah, I don't know that it's ever seamless. And obviously, kids are emotional beings. We all are. So they may want something one day and they have that thing. And the next week, they may have seen that thing and they don't care. So it's really just, yeah, it's a lot of ebbs and flows. But did you have any questions?
No.
No? What's your favorite food? Pancakes? Pancakes are